Okay, it says we're live. I'm just gonna add it to the announcements so people can see it. Why why the internet wanna act up? Yeah, hold on. No, seriously, because I can't see it. Anyway, how about we just get started?
Okay.
Hi, Rika. my,
Hi.
my name is Jonna, and I really want to appreciate you for coming out tonight and just telling us a little bit about your story and also giving us the opportunity to know about the Single Girls Life Coach.
Okay.
So I just want to know a little bit about you, and if you feel like the questions are too invasive, just kind of like shrug away from it a little bit.
I'm an open
Um,
book. I should be good.
you're open book. Okay, great. So Rika, first I want to start off with how old are you?
37.
You're 37.
Yes. I know a
Um,
lot of women don't like to say their age, but I'm like, shoot.
they don't. They don't.
Yeah.
Uh,
I look like
so,
I'm 22. Okay.
you do look very young. So, how long have you been single?
So I'm almost 2.5 years in.
2.5 years in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
have you not been, looking for anyone, or did it just end up happening like that?
Definitely have not been looking.
Okay.
Actually, my prayer right now, to God, and I just started it this year actually, is
Okay.
just keep me hidden until
Okay.
the son that you have for me, the husband that you have for me, sees me. I see him,
Hmm.
but until then, keep me hidden because your sons down here, God, are tripping. So
Okay.
I'm
What made
good.
you? Yeah. What made you start praying that prayer?
I'm over dating. I
Okay.
don't like why. I don't
Right.
at this point. Um, and that doesn't mean that I wouldn't go out to dinner or to a movie or something if I was
Hmm.
asked, but I also am just, I don't want to be another girlfriend for 2 years and then it ends. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I'm definitely
Understand.
dating with a purpose. Like, if I'm going to date, then there's going to be a purpose behind it. He's going to be on the same page,
Mhm.
with, not wanting to be another boyfriend.
Right.
And we'll go from there. And I just approach dating totally differently now than I did when I
Okay.
was like 25.
Got absolutely, because you've
Yeah.
grown. You've grown 12 years since
Yeah.
25. So your
Yeah.
mindset is totally different. You had
Exactly.
many experiences. So in that last relationship, how long was it?
So my last relationship, I call him the $10,000 boyfriend,
Okay.
was
Why is that?
was about a year.
Okay.
Um, and he was actually my first love and college boyfriend when I was at Howard, and then he came creeping around the bushes again in
Okay.
2018, and
Mhm.
ended up being a dud. And why I call him the $10,000
Mhm.
boyfriend, because I'll give you the cliff notes, but
Okay.
because I'm like, I mean, this is a long story. I don't know how
Right.
much time we have, but I will just say this: he came creeping around the bush again, talking about I have always been the one,
Mhm.
and that he wanted to marry me off rip. And I
Mhm.
live in Washington State, so I'm in Seattle. Go Hawks
Mhm.
all day. Um,
Mhm.
and he was still in DC at that time. Again, this is in 2018, and he even moved. He was in the process of moving, quote unquote, for me
Right.
from DC to work at Amazon in Seattle.
Mhm.
And he ended up getting the job, and I'm excited, right? Like, oh my gosh, this is happening. He's, promised all these promises and blah blah blah. And there's definitely a lot of red flags that I passed up, but um
Mhm.
in the process of him moving, he was like, yeah, I really do want to take the job, but I don't have any money to move.
Red flag. But why
And
he telling you that?
so, right. And so, unfortunately, at that time,
Yeah.
I made the decision to help him out.
Mhm.
And yeah, and he charged $10,000 on my credit card to move to Seattle. Yeah.
What?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
What?
Now, I will say he did pay me back, and it was like $300 a month for like a year, 14 months. And I was on him because I was like, listen, I will call your mother. Don't
Right.
play me. Don't play me. No mom wants to hear that her son took $10,000 from, you know what I mean? So he did pay
He
me back.
charged your card in
Yeah.
one setting.
In the process of moving all his cars out here, getting his apartment, getting his furniture, getting his, da 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 da. And he kept saying, don't worry, I'm about to get a bonus when I get this job, da da da. That bonus never came.
Was the job even there?
Yes. He did. Yes. I don't know if he still works there now, because like I said, I ain't talked to him since the last time he put since he sent me $300 on Cash App and it equaled $10,000. I was like, all right, we done. Don't
But
ever
what
talk
about
to
the
me again.
interest and the fees?
I had to figure it out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So is that $10,000 the whole reason why you all was like, didn't complete?
No. Then so $10,000 or whatever, and then he started acting funny right around, because he moved in either September of October of 2018, and then he went to Atlanta. He's from Atlanta, and was acting funny. Didn't want me to come to Atlanta for Christmas, and I was like, okay. He came back 2020, like January 5th or something like that, and told me that that I had it two together. And
he had what together?
That Reka Janelle Robinson, had it two together.
Oh.
And that he was breaking up with me because he was still in love with his ex.
Okay. And then what happened with you? Like, how did you take that?
Yeah, honestly, because 2 years before him, a year and a half before him, 2 years before the breakup, I was in a relationship that was verbally abusive. At that time, I had grown so much to understand, when somebody tells you they don't want to be with you, let them go.
Right.
I wasn't going to fight. I didn't cry. I was like, okay, so when you leaving? Because he was at my house.
Right.
So I was like,
did he leave?
Yeah. So when you leaving? And he ended up, he left in that. Like, I didn't ask him why. Like, I don't have time. I don't.
Good.
Yeah. So I had grown that much. And not to say that it didn't hurt. Like,
yeah.
I've healed from it and I've learned from that. And now I will no longer pass up the red flags of asking a guy, what's your credit score look like? Like, I would always ask him, like, what's his credit score? Da, da, da. Girl, he would always give me the excuse of, oh, I'm embarrassed. I don't want to tell you yet. I'm gonna work on it. And then I'll tell you in like a month. And it never came. So there was a lot of hesitation, and in hesitation, that's definitely a language.
Yeah.
And I don't have time for you to be embarrassed if you talking about we about to be married. Like, I fell in love with the story of getting married to my Howard ex, like, fell in love with that, got excited because he picked me. I felt like, oh, I'm finally picked. And, so I fell in love with the story instead of really honing in on the red flag. So I feel like God was like, I have one more lesson for you.
Yeah.
And I handled it well. Like I said, I was like, okay, when you leaving, he left. And not to say that it didn't hurt, it did. But I definitely, like I said, I took the lesson and went on my way and got my money back. It took a year. And of course he did have an attitude, and I would calmly just be like, I'm not sure why you have the attitude when you borrowed the money from me, but okay. But I got that money back. And that's not to even praise him. I'm not going to praise anybody for doing what is right, So
right, exactly. Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, I wanted to kind of move on, but I want to go ahead and say that he was right. You did have two together.
Right. Exactly.
You're right. I'm glad you noticed.
Right. Yeah. And the funny thing is, in college, he broke up with me almost with the same, for the same reason. At that time, when you're in college, you're 19 and 20, and he was, unfortunately, and these are a lot of men that I dated, very insecure. So we would be like on the yard or walking through somewhere, and somebody would say hi to me that was a male. Of course, I'd be like, hey, what up? And he'd be like, who is that? So, that's your man's?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I can't say hi?
Right.
And I didn't know at 19, and I didn't know at 25, and I didn't know at 32 that, what TD Jake says, that he never met a man who loved himself that be his wife. So when you're dating insecure men and they don't like themselves, they are going to abuse you. Now, whether that comes out physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, it's going to come out, because when you date a man who's at war with himself, that's a moving target. And I had to learn that. So
right. Yeah. He gonna treat you the same way he treat himself.
Yeah. Girl.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. A
Yeah.
man, and that's what it talks about. A man or a husband supposed to love his wife the way he loves
Hmm.
himself. But if he
Yeah.
not loving himself, he can't love you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's for all of us. The Bible
Yeah.
does talk about, love thy neighbor as thyself. So
Right.
yeah, if I
Yeah.
hate myself, of course it's going to come out
Right.
and not liking you. So yeah. Hmm.
Exactly. And I think I mean his reason for leaving you was it's just so divine, even though he didn't realize he was being divine, because he saw more than in you that maybe you at the time didn't see in yourself.
Right.
That you
Right.
had like I got it too going on
Hmm.
to be fooling around with you who don't. Not
Right.
to say that you're not gonna get there, but I've got to know my own worth. I have to know which level I'm on.
Yeah.
And if I realize my level that I'm on, I won't go to anybody or be received by anyone who is not yet where I am. That's where the unequally yoked things come into
100%.
play.
Yeah. And I wish at 19 I would have listened to him when he was like, "Oh, you're too much. You're, this or that." I
Mhm.
wish I would have been like, "Yeah, I know." At that point, but 2 years ago, yes, I was like, "Yeah, I know. Okay, bye." Because I wasn't about to go through that again.
Right.
I definitely was like, "Okay, okay." When a woman's fed up, right? Like, so I
Right.
was just like, "Cool, got it, God, got it." And placing my value in God and knowing that my worthiness comes from God and I'm already worthy. Period. It
Right.
doesn't come from a man picking me.
Right. Picking
So
me. I'm already chosen.
I'm already chosen. So yeah, so I just, yeah, I definitely had to learn that, and that is part of my whole coaching business is to help women discover their worth so that they
Mhm.
stop tying their worth and identity to men and stop
Right.
being the man pleaser and stop trying to morph and serve your way into a guy's heart or change him. It's like we need to
Mhm.
leave the changing up to God and
Right.
the loving of people up to us. But just because because a lot of women like to use that excuse, and I've been there. This is no judgment, but they love to use, "But I love him." Okay, and that don't mean you have to
Yeah.
be with him or sleep with him or marry him or
Yeah.
whatever. But I find when I was in that situation is because I truly did not know the biblical version of love.
Yeah,
Uh,
what love is.
yeah, yeah. And the Bible says love cast out all fears. So if you're afraid that he's going to cheat on you, abuse
Mhm.
you, you're afraid to speak up for yourself, anything, that's not love then. I would argue
Mhm.
that's not love. And
Right.
so, yeah, but I had to learn that.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got into where I was going. I wanted to know where was the single girl's life coach, was it birthed from that last relationship or was it birthed from all of the relationships?
Yeah,
Because you did mention that you were in a abusive relationship before this last one.
yeah.
How long was that abusive relationship?
So that was 2 years.
Oh,
So from 2015 to June of 2017, July 2017, and that's what birthed this now.
okay.
Now back then in June of 2017, I didn't know that. I just knew that I was devastated. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I couldn't believe that I would
Mhm.
put myself through something like that. Like I thought at that time, like I'm too smart for this, or I went to
Mhm.
Howard. My parents I come from a 2-parent household. I had a great childhood. Why would I allow this? Why would I allow myself? Why would I put myself through this? And honestly, I had to sit down with myself
Mhm.
and ask myself why. And I went December of 2017. Have you ever seen that movie Eat, Pray, Love?
I have, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I went on my own Eat, Pray, Love trip. I went to
That's good.
Yeah, I went to Puerto Vallarta by myself, Mexico, for a week, for like 10 days, by myself, Christmas of 2017. And I actually brought 2 books with me.
Mhm.
One was the We're Gonna Need More Wine by Gabrielle Union.
Okay.
And the other one was The Purpose Driven Life by Pastor Rick Warren.
I love that book.
I love it. Girl, I had that book since I was 15. Did I read it at 15? No.
No.
No. And so, yeah, so but I took the books because I think I actually bought Gabrielle Union's book in the airport because I was like, because at that time
Mhm.
the book was new and I was like, oh, I'm going by myself. Maybe I need to read something. I don't know. And when I was reading her book, I read her book first while I was on the beach, those days or whatever. And I'm reading the book and I was like, so Gabrielle Union wrote this book about me. cool. Like, I felt so seen in her story. She had a very similar story to mine.
Mm,
And it not everything, but I just felt that definitely made me feel like, oh, so I'm not stupid. I'm not the
right.
only one. I'm not alone when it comes to, I'm not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and so I felt very seen in her book. And then when I was reading The Purpose Driven Life, Pastor Rick Warren, in that book, he says, you know, your greatest shame will be the thing that heals others. And the moment, in fact, I was in Atlanta when my abusive ex broke up with me. I remember
Mm,
we were in his car. He broke up with me, mind you, telling me that he could not trust me. Um, and mind you, the whole time he was cheating on me. I've never cheated on
mm,
anybody in my life, but that's called projection. But I didn't know that then. So
right.
he was very insecure as well. So moving to, I couldn't do anything right. Couldn't answer the phone quick enough. Couldn't do anything right. And he broke up with me. And in that moment, I heard God say, I will use this story. And at
Mm.
that time, I was like, no, you're not.
Okay.
I ain't telling nobody this story. Nope. Yep.
So were you like
Um,
physically abused or
no,
emotionally abused?
emotionally. Yeah. I will say he thank God, he never hit me. Um, and who knows, maybe it was going there. I don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
I am happy that I was released at that moment, because I know that I knew 2 weeks in that I shouldn't have been with him.
Mm.
But I bypassed all the red flags, because I
Yeah.
believe I was 32 at that time. And God forbid you be 32 and single and no kids. Oh my God, you're
Yes.
a leper in this society at that. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
if you don't get married by 22 and a half, life is over.
Right. And that's not even true.
Exactly, exactly. So I heard God say that in, like I said, June, July 2017. And then when I was reading Pastor Rick Warren's book, I saw that quote too, like your greatest story. And it just sparked that, like, oh, maybe that's what God meant. And then I just kind of went from there. I started blogging first. And then I got certified as a life coach. And I built on top of that. And I went from there after I healed myself, for sure.
Okay. And you healed yourself by the Gabrielle Union book and the Rick Warren and going on like a eat,
And
pray, love
journaling,
journal.
and
Yeah.
was by myself for 10 days and asking myself so many questions, like, why would I allow this?
And yeah, and even when you say, why, how could I let this happen to me? And, why would I allow this? The first thing that, came to my mind is the power of our emotions.
Yeah.
Our
Hmm.
emotions are extremely powerful. And
Hmm.
that's why it's important for us to learn how to control
To
them.
check
They're
them.
yeah, they can be controlled.
Yeah.
Actually,
Hmm.
it's hard to control your emotions, but they can be controlled. They can be managed.
Hmm.
Meaning it doesn't mean that you're not going to be hurt,
Right.
but you can choose how you will respond in that hurt. That's what controlling our emotions mean. So I do want you to talk more about the Single Girls Life Coach. I asked those questions before because I needed to know where it got birthed from.
Yeah.
So please tell us about the Single Girls Life Coach, because you
Yeah.
did tell me that you had no problem if you never got married,
Yeah.
and
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So as I was doing my own healing and journaling, and after I had got back from Mexico, mind you, I'm on the radio here in the city that I live in, and so I had been
Okay.
doing the morning show for, at that time, 5 years. I'm almost 8 years in now, but
Hmm.
5 years. And I, for like 3 months, from June to until January, I didn't talk about it.
Okay.
And my listeners knew that I had a boyfriend. But for 3 or 4 months, I did not talk about it. And I started getting, it's funny, my co-host, he was like, yo, people are starting to ask me, like, what happened with you and your boyfriend? And I hadn't even told him. I just told him we broke up. Um, and during commercial breaks, like, I would go in the bathroom and cry. Like, it was so hard to go
Mm,
through that journey by myself, because nobody knew. Like, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my parents. I just, when we broke up, I was like, yeah, we over. When you shut
yeah.
down, when you're so hurt. And finally, after that trip, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a blog. And then
Hmm.
I started sharing little by little, and blogging. And that was very therapeutic. My God.
That's good. Yeah.
Sharing your story is extremely powerful, not only for somebody who can relate to your story, but for you.
Yeah.
And I was able to heal through the blogging process. And then about mid 2018, I got certified. I figured out what a life coach. I was like, what is? Because I started seeing like life coaches, and I was like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
I got certified. I ended up getting in a program, getting a coach, and getting certified as a life coach, because what I learned through my process and what I went through was that nobody had these conversations with me about what makes a healthy relationship versus unhealthy.
Right.
Nobody told me. So, and I started focusing on my relationship with God and
Yes.
connecting with God. I've been a Christian since I was born, but honestly, I did not really focus on and study the Bible and read the Bible until 3 years ago, since 2017. And so when I started focusing on that, I was in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, where Paul is writing a letter to the church. And chapter 7, verse 8, basically says it's better to be single if you can. Like, there's beauty in marriage,
Yeah.
there's beauty in singleness. And I picked up
Yeah.
my Bible and I threw it across the room because I was so mad, because I feel like the church society makes you feel like you are a better Christian, you are a better woman if you get married and have kids. You are more blessed. Jesus loves you more if you do this thing. This is the goal of
Mm-hmm.
life, and there's no other option. And that opened my eyes to understand, oh, singleness is an option too. Like, this single
It
life is
is.
an
Yeah.
option. It's an
Mm-hmm.
option. And I was so mad that I didn't know that. And I'm over here trying to freaking make relationships work because I think that I have to be in a relationship in
Mm-hmm.
order to get this, I don't know, ribbon, star, gold star,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just so mad. And after I got over the anger and I was working all that out, like I said, then I was like, okay, what if I could build some type of program that helps women know that they are worthy regardless of their relationship status, and
Yeah.
that singleness is not a punishment. And then I
Mm-hmm.
just kept building on my program and all of that from there. But yeah, I am 100%, now that I know that God doesn't care whether I'm married or not. It's about my purpose, and me
Yes.
being a light in the world and being fishers of men, women, blah, blah, blah. Now that I know that, I'm cool either way. That's why that's my prayer. Like, I'm done dating, God. So if you do have a husband for me, present me to him at the time that you see fit. Other than that, I'm cool.
Right. So, do you really have a desire to get married?
I don't know. Not right now. I think,
That's good. Okay.
yeah. I think my cousin, she said it best. She goes, you know what? We're all trying to figure out our purpose here on earth. And I believe that you found yours, and now you're filling that loneliness hole with your
Yeah.
purpose, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like when you fill your life with the purpose, with what you're supposed to do on this earth,
Right.
I don't even have time to be like, oh my God, I wish I had a guy, or be lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do, those are fleeting. It may be like an hour. Like, oh, it'd be nice to go if I had a dude to go watch this movie
Yeah.
with me. But da da da. Do I think, would it be nice? Sure. Do I have that strong, like, oh my God, my life sucks, I'm so lonely feeling? No.
That's
Mm-mm.
good because
Yeah.
I believe that many times when we stop, I don't even want the desire anymore.
Yeah.
When we stop having that desire, it's not wrong to have the desire, but we need
Right.
to know what we should do with that desire.
Right.
And
Right.
maybe your desire has the energy from that desire transferred into the passion of your purpose.
Right.
And
Exactly.
when
Yeah.
we are chasing something, we don't think that we're chasing, but that desire, it's probably pulling us to do things that maybe we normally would not have done. When we're chasing something, it seems like it's harder to come. And then that man who you haven't been thinking about, he just comes
Pops
out of
up. Pops up.
pops up because you weren't
Yeah.
even thinking. And I think um, that's the best thing to be. And I'm going to look behind me
Hmm.
because this is Matthew 5:5. It says, "You're blessed when you're content with just who you are.
Mm,
No more, no less. That's the moment you find yourselves proud owners of everything that cannot be bought."
mm.
And that seems like that's the blessing that you're living in right now.
Yeah. Like, I'm so, yeah. I mean, and even when you look at, the women in the Bible, the ones that we admire so much, like Ruth and the Proverbs 31 woman and stuff like that, they're not searching for a guy. Ruth was really just ready to follow Naomi around, and Naomi was the one who was like, okay,
Told her to do this.
right, exactly. So my question that I ask myself now, when I am presented with a guy, so, when it happens, whenever it happens, is this God's best for me?
Yeah.
Because if I would have asked that with my abusive ex, my $10,000 boyfriend, I would have said no. There's no way that God was like, yep, this is the best I could do for you, brother. There's no way. There's no way. So now it's like, even in every bucket, in every situation, is this God's best for me? Like, I don't have to be down here suffering because of a dude. That's not what God wants for us. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's really good that you know that marriage is not the answer that's going to solve all of my problems. Because I think that's what a lot of people go into it thinking, everything's going to be fine. I have a husband now. That's when the war really begins.
Yeah.
Because the enemy does not want you to stay married. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to know, while we wrap up, I want to know, because I'm going to put in the comments, where can people find you? What would you be able to offer them? Tell me the website first.
So it's single-u.com. And the best way to reach out to me is on my Instagram, which is
www.
Yep, www.single and then the little dash you.com.
Mm-hmm.
And the Instagram, there we go. If you needed to send me a message or you wanted to reach out to me, but what I have to offer you is in this season, I believe that God has me being a light for single women, because even when I look back at 15 and at 22, I had never seen a woman single with no kids at that time, because my mom was married, my aunts and uncles were married, everybody was married to the people that they're married to, that they were married to when I popped out of my mom. So I had never seen an example of a woman really doing it. Like, we don't have a lot of examples.
Yeah.
Right now it's Tracy Ellis Ross. That's my anchor. I love her. Tracy Ellis Ross, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so I believe that God has me in this season of my life to be that for somebody. And to help you understand that single is not a punishment and that you are worthy regardless of your relationship status. And so these are the conversations. What Gabrielle Union did for me is what I do for other single women who definitely need it. And so on my Instagram, all that content is posted. And I also have a podcast titled Single You, the podcast. And it's on Apple, Google, Spotify, and more. And then outside of that, if you feel like, you know what, I need to go deeper, I need somebody to hold my hand on this journey of discovering my worth so that I can stop tying my worth and identity to men, I have my coaching program, and it's called Single You Academy. And it is a 12-week program where I walk you through a lot of steps that get you to a place where you're like, you know what? I'm good being single. I'm good. And if he comes, great. If he doesn't, great. So
how does this program look? Is it like a video program? Is it a one-on-one, live, or? Yeah.
So my 12-week program, I have group and one-on-one. So my group is closed right now. It opens again in April. And I like to do a small group. So it's not like 100 people, you know what I mean? I think it's better when you're able to work together. And it's, like I said, 12 weeks. And every week you get a new video that's either a workshop or a masterclass produced by either me, or I have a lot of my friends who are therapists who have done workshops for me. So it's an on-demand video. It's already ready for you, and they drop once a week. And then the one-on-one program is a more personalized experience. Because I have some clients who were like, I'm glad that you offer one-on-one, because I wasn't super comfortable with a group at first. And so that's why they choose to do one-on-one, because it's more personalized and it's a different experience than it would be with the group. So
so they will all be together and watching the video at the same time.
In the group, no, those videos are on demand. They drop once a week. And then when I say drop, it means I put it in what I call the Single You portal. Day I drop them every Sunday night. So by the time you wake up every Monday morning for 12 weeks, you'll have a new video to watch That comes
Okay.
with a journal. So it comes with some homework, and you watch it and you do the homework. And then we meet live about 6 times in those 12 weeks for
Okay.
us to then be as a group to go over and
Okay.
talk
Got
about
you.
what's coming up for you and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
understood. And when you do
Yeah.
the one-on-one, how many hours per week? Like if I wanted a session with you, would it be 1 hour or?
Yeah. So we meet on Zoom 13 times.
Okay.
So that's once a week, for 13 weeks for an hour. And
Okay.
then we also have Marco Polo, which is a video app. So if, our day is Thursday, like I have a client every Thursday at 1 o'clock. And so let's say after we go over your homework, like I said, it's more personalized. Your homework on the Zoom, we go over that. And then your next steps for the next week. Let's say we meet on Thursday, and then Saturday, you have a question, or you're like, you need to vent, or your ex texts you, or whatever. You're like, Reka, I need some
Right.
help in this situation. You can video me. And I respond usually within a few hours.
It's
So,
more involved. The one-on-one
mhm.
seems like more mentorship, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
But yes, Reka, I have so many more questions to ask, but I know we are very limited on time, and I just really wanted to appreciate you
Yeah.
for giving yourself, sharing your story, and giving us some insight on what it is to be not 73, but 37-year-old single woman
Girl,
who is
I'm 73. What?
right.
What?
A 37-year-old
Yeah.
single woman who's content
Yeah.
with being single and possibly staying single
Yeah.
if that's what the Lord chooses. So thank you. And thank you for everyone who's watching. You can find her on www.single-u.com, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for having
Bye.
me.